Welcome back to Starting Point. We're live, TVRI World, from the capital of Indonesia, Jakarta, delivering news from home and around the world. Still with your anchor for today, Uli Herdi, and
I am Aisha Fabian. We are now also joined by someone very special, and we are going to talk about studying abroad.
fantastic.
Yeah.
So who do we have here, Aisha Fabian?
So let us welcome Hilda Cahyani, the Senior Manager for Program Development and Partnership from IISMA, or Indonesian International Student Mobility Awards, a scholarship scheme by the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research and Technology of Indonesia. So what we'll be discussing today is about how the student exchange from Indonesia to study abroad.
So it's called IISMA, right?
Yeah.
IISMA, although it's people probably understand it's a IISMA.
IISMA.
Can you tell us a little bit about this program?
Yeah, so this program is basically giving experience for studying abroad for our undergraduate students as well as vocational higher education. So previously, Indonesian government gave scholarship for masters and also for doctoral degrees. But right now, since 2021, Indonesian government have been already sending undergraduate and vocational higher education students to all over the world.
That is amazing.
Oh, wow.
So for how long that these lucky young Indonesians get the chance to study abroad?
Yeah, so normally this is like 1 semester.
1 semester.
Yeah,
Okay.
for 4 to 6 months.
4 to 6
Yeah,
months.
so this is non-degree actually program.
It's non-degree, but this gives them the opportunity to experience how it's like to live and study abroad, and probably some cultural exchange are happening also during the program.
So they got a task besides studying. They also need to promote culture, Indonesian culture. They have some also activities for vocational students. They have industrial exposure activities, like they're doing some internship, they're doing some visit in the industry. So it's just like more than, you know, classroom, beyond the classroom. So they have a lot of activities.
Okay, so they have to be registered as an undergraduate student here in Indonesia, in campuses in Indonesia.
MOCRT.
So it's not, usually what grades they go, like the third year
Semester
or.
Yeah, for undergraduate, they're coming from 4th and 6th semester,
okay.
which means like the
Second year.
or the 3rd year. And for vocational, they're coming from diploma 3.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay, and then they're coming from semester 4. And then for diploma 4, they're coming from semester 4 and 6.
So this is a full scholarship.
It is.
Okay.
But we also have another scheme like co-funding.
Oh,
Like
okay.
partly supported by the ministry, and then also some of them like by the campus or by their parents. Or
So the
industry.
full scholarships means that it's paid for everything. I mean, like
Yes.
the plane tickets and the living expenses.
Yeah.
Everything is
Everything. So the
arranged
students,
by you.
yeah, the students get like airfare ticket, and then so basic insurance, health insurance, and also the living allowance and settlement
Wow.
allowance.
Oh, okay.
What are
Fully
the
funded.
countries that you work with about this program?
It's like 25 countries.
25 countries all around the
20
world.
all over
Europe,
the world. Yes.
The United States, I
Yes,
assume.
United
and,
States.
Asia as well?
Yes. And the IISMA partners, like they are the top ranked universities,
Okay.
like top 10 in the country, and also they belong to 300 world university rank.
What are the
Oh,
languages
okay.
usually need to be understood for these young Indonesians to go join your programs?
Yeah, English.
English, of course.
English.
And,
And the host university must offer the courses in English.
English. And then Japanese or just English?
Just English, but they have additional also values when they're studying in Japan, for example. They can study Japanese, and in Korea, South Korea, they can study South Korean language.
So all the universities that, it's universities, right? So all the universities that
yes,
you work
exactly.
together only provide lessons in English or
Yes.
other languages as well?
just in English.
Just in English.
But they also like give some courses, like additional courses, like in the national language.
That is so interesting. Such a
Yeah,
great opportunity for people out there who's watching us at the moment, probably your children or you probably, and also anybody who wants to learn abroad and get the chance to live for 4 to 6 months. That's an amazing experience, especially since they have full scholarships as well. So basically what you need to do is just take an English test, making sure you pass all the requirements, and then you can just jump on board and go abroad.
And just registered at IISMA, because it will be like around thousands of applicants, right? And then you sent out
10,000.
More than 1,000. It's about 1,900 students abroad this year in
Per year.
2023.
So like we started in 2021, like 1,000 at that time. Then it's like almost 2,000, 1,500
Wow.
in 2022. But right now in 2023, like we have almost 2,000, 1,984.
Almost 2,000.
Wow.
That is a lot of people. That is amazing.
Yeah.
All over Indonesia.
All over
Yeah.
Indonesia.
Yeah,
And I believe that the requirements to get to IISMA, it's also kind of like hard. No,
Yes, it's actually the
strict,
requirement coming
right?
from the host university.
Okay.
Yeah, the host university has different requirement, like the English proficiency test as well. So they like normally like they
Can
set
you give
the
us some
standard.
examples of the requirements needed at the universities for these students?
Like they will have like the over like English proficiency test, which is like international, like Penn State University, for example. So they require for TOEFL IBT.
Yeah.
And also they require Duolingo. And also another is, if I'm not mistaken, is IELTS.
IELTS.
Oh,
Yeah.
so fantastic. Speaking about Duolingo, we also have another
Yes.
guest online. You want to introduce our guest to our
So
viewers?
we are also joined by Zoom by Carrie Wang, the head of Duolingo English Test Asia. So let's say hi to Carrie. Good morning, Carrie.
Good morning, Carrie.
Hi.
Thank you for joining
Good morning,
us.
Marie and Asia. Good to
How
see
are you today?
Very good.
Fantastic.
Can you hear me clearly?
Good. So, Carrie, can you tell us a little bit to our viewers, probably who's not, who doesn't know about Duolingo for now? Can you explain a little bit about Duolingo?
Yes. As you're seeing on the screen, many viewers may have already come across Duolingo. Duolingo is most famously known for a language learning app, which actually has this green owl that has become very popular all around the world. And what you can do on Duolingo is you can learn any language, including English, entirely for free on your phone. And Duolingo right now is the most popular language learning application all over the world. We have over 500 million people around the world that has used Duolingo to learn a language. But more than just learning a language on your phone, what Duolingo has also introduced is an English testing product. And Hilda was talking about the Duolingo English test, which is accepted by top-ranked universities all around the world, and very similar to some other traditional English tests that viewers may have heard of. For example, the TOEFL or the IELTS. Duolingo English test certifies your English ability at the highest level and is recognized by thousands of famous universities all around the world.
Yes, I think it's very fantastic that we have the application Duolingo to learn any languages. Anytime, like anywhere. Like, I have a friend that just installed Duolingo to learn Bahasa Indonesia.
On the mobile phone.
Yeah, so every time she has the time, she would open her Duolingo and then study any languages. And I personally, I would like to study French, and you said you would want to study Japanese as well.
Yes, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, and Carrie also has explained to us how unique Duolingo is. And could you say in what ways does Duolingo adapt to different learning styles and cultural backgrounds to create an inclusive testing environment?
Yeah, definitely. I have to first start talking about the traditional ways in which you get an English score. And so I'm sure many of you are familiar. In the past, if you want to take an exam, typically it needs to happen offline, right? So you have to go to a physical location.
Yeah.
40 or 50 students sit in the same room, very crowded. You have one teacher. And as you can see on this diagram here, in the past, all over the world, there's a lot of limitations because you have to go to a location. In many countries, including in Indonesia, there's not enough locations relative to students. And again, in the case of Indonesia, a lot of students may not live near a major city where there's a testing location. And so in the past, students who cannot access a testing location or cannot afford to travel to a city with a testing location is left out of the opportunity to demonstrate their English through the score and then have the opportunity to study abroad. What Duolingo does with this Duolingo English test, similar to our mobile app, is that we bring testing to you, to your home, on your computer. And so in the past, with language learning, you have to go to a classroom. And many people don't have the luxury or time. We bring that to you on your phone. Same with English testing. Many people cannot travel to a testing location, but we bring the test to you on your computer. And so as you can see on the right in this orange, wherever there is an internet connection, you're able to access the Duolingo English test, and you're able to demonstrate to the universities that you want to apply to that you have the right English to get enrolled. And that fundamentally just changes the game of access. I mean, we like to say that it's like before you have delivery apps. Everyone has to travel to the restaurant and pick up your food. But now with the app, with technology, the food just comes to you, to your home, and we made that for education and testing as well.
What a brilliant solution, as Aisha mentioned earlier, that people can now access anything through mobile phones.
Yep.
So that is great. That is fantastic. So how does Duolingo ensure the security and integrity of the testing process, considering the test is taken online?
Yeah, that's a great question. Duolingo is a education technology company. We are listed in the Nasdaq Stock Exchange and currently is the most valuable education technology worldwide. A big reason is that we are industry leading for our expertise in building digital first education products, specifically in using AI, artificial intelligence, in education. And so to answer your question, and as you can see in the chart here, we are able to actually enhance the security of testing through technology. So there's two things I'll first say. One is just because you're doing it at home on your computer doesn't mean that it is not being reviewed. In fact, every single test session, we require the student to turn on their video camera, their audio camera. So just like I'm talking to you right now, when a student takes the test, every single test is reviewed by multiple examiners, or as we call it, exam proctors. And in the case of digital, we're actually able to increase the amount of review. So traditionally, in that large classroom that I was talking about, you have one teacher looking at 40 and 50 students. So really, he or she is very busy and their attention is divided constantly. When we're able to bring it online, we are able to have multiple proctors carefully review each session. And so instead of having a 1:50 ratio where you get 1/50 of a teacher's attention, we actually have a 2 or 3-to-1 ratio where each exam taken, we have multiple people reviewing, so as to ensure that we don't miss anything. And on top of that, what we do is not only we rely on the judgment of our proctors, but we use technology to enhance their judgment and decision making. And so, as I was mentioning, the video and audio is recorded, but on top of that, we use the AI to analyze the signals. For example, looking at a video of me right now, we would use the AI to analyze the specific behaviors that I'm exhibiting. For example, am I using a phone in this process? Is there a lot of noise outside? Is the way I'm typing inconsistent in the beginning and towards the end? And what's really interesting, what we found is that, and I'm sure you can appreciate, actually human beings get quite tired when they work a long time, and sometimes they might miss things. But with technology, what we can do is we can use the technology to help proctors to make sure that they don't miss anything. Sometimes a proctor might miss a behavior that a student did during the exam, but the technology picks it up. And so we have this process where we have the human expertise and we have the artificial intelligence to make sure that the reviewer has all of the information that they need, and that together makes the Duolingo English test even more secure than really the vast majority of tests taken in a traditional environment.
I see. I believe that that is one of the reasons why also Duolingo is being accredited by most of universities around the world, and also by IISMA as well,
yes.
Where the students, the applicants can submit the test via Duolingo as well.
Yes.
And can you also tell us the distinguishes by IISMA from other standardized testing organizations, and how does it contribute to the education and professional development landscape?
Okay, as we know that I mentioned earlier that IISMA is a mobility program for 1 semester, and then it gives all of the access for Indonesian students from all over Indonesia to study abroad all over the world, and having the same standard. Like when they are studying abroad, they should know that as a standard English proficiency international, they know that they need to achieve the target. So in this case, like we have this sort of types of English proficiency tests, and with the standard that we have, the host university already mentioned, as well as the academic requirement that we need the students all over Indonesia, that is like 3 as a minimum out of 4 for the academic transcript, and they just have that requirement. Then they are on the semester, like 4th and 6th semester, and they can go for the IISMA program. So basically the difference is that the interesting thing is that from IISMA, there will no further selection after we select the students. As we got the list of the students, then the host university will receive them immediately.
Oh, okay.
So there will be no more process for the selection from the host university.
Oh, so they can also apply it online first to IISMA?
Oh, yes. All of this like platform-based. So they apply in our platform, IISMA platform, for students.
And then they take the test at Duolingo, for example.
Yeah.
And then they will get a certificate, and then they will send the certificate to you as part of the requirements to continue the process.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly.
So let's now continue to talk about Duolingo with Carrie. So surely Duolingo is catering not only for students in Indonesia, but also around the world. So in what ways does Duolingo adapt to different learning styles and cultural backgrounds to create an inclusive testing environment?
Yeah, that's an amazing question, Lily. I would say in the past, I grew up in the traditional days as well, where taking classes, taking exams, there's really no flexibility. It's very much one size fits all, as I was describing. And what Duolingo has done is really use technology to create an experience where students, or we like to say test takers, have a choice and they have control. And so we did a research with students that have taken multiple English proficiency tests, including Duolingo and some other popular ones we mentioned. And we found that close to 70% of students who's taken different type of proficiency tests, they overwhelmingly prefer digital testing, and specifically the Duolingo English test, or the DET, as we call it for short. And what's really unique and what students tell us is that it gives the student the choice to choose. For example, because you're able to do this at home, you can choose a comfortable environment. We have students who take a test in their pajamas, because they feel very relaxed and they feel like when they're relaxed, they're able to do their best. A lot of students take the Duolingo English test in their pajamas, in their bedroom, or in another room in their home, where they're feeling very at ease. And that's how they're able to really showcase their English ability. It's less about the ability to be in a crowded room and to fight off stress or to learn how exams work, but really we give students a comfortable environment such that they can showcase their true skill set. So that's one thing, being able to just choose where you take an exam and have the exam respect that you're able to perform your best in an environment that suits you best. Another aspect is actually time. And so in the past, you don't get to choose. You go online and you see, okay, there's an 8 a.m., 8 o'clock exam, and that's all you can click and make a reservation for. For some students, if you don't live near the location, you wake up at 5 a.m. Just to be able to attend that exam. And guess what? The student was very tired, and maybe they didn't have breakfast, and they're not able to do very well. Or, as I'm sure you've heard, it always happens that you get sick on the exam day. A student catches the flu, and in the old days, the odds are you still have to go through the exam because it's very, very hard to reschedule. But with technology, with the Duolingo English test, there's no exam appointments. You can really just open your computer, and we don't require you to tell us when you need to take the exam. You just start it whenever you feel comfortable. And so with Duolingo, we see that students take the test at any time of the day. As many of you might imagine, there are many night owls, students who like to take an exam at 10 p.m. because that's when they think their mind is the sharpest. And we're able to support that. And so again, it's all about making it such that students can have control. And because we don't have to limit that. All we need to do is make sure that the test is secure and that we are truly assessing for their English abilities, which we are the experts for worldwide.
So do you have to finish the test once you begin the test, or you can do it like in several sittings, or how does it work?
Yeah, so traditional tests are very, very long, over 3 hours. And so I've heard a lot of students say it seems like it's not an English test, but more of a patience test where you just sit there and to go through one question after another. And with Duolingo, we have, again, an adaptive technology that's enabled by AI. So in a shorter amount of time, we can get to a more accurate assessment of the student's English ability. Typically, the Duolingo English test only takes an hour. And because of that, a lot of students find it quite easy to finish. And so once they start, they're able to quickly get through to the exam. And the exam also learns the student's ability, actually just like the language learning app. If you get it right, you get harder questions. And so we're able to very quickly help the student get to the level that we think they are, and we don't need them to sit there unnecessarily for too long.
So I have another follow-up question. So this is really interesting. So,
Yeah.
Once the students start the test, they can finish it, say, in an hour, and then say they decided to do the test once more. Can they do that? And will the questions be the same, or how does it work?
They wouldn't be able to come back and come back because at every session, because we use the technology to adapt to their performance, we will lose that history. But in that session itself, it will be a continuous experience.
I see. So in Duolingo, you would be having exam cold feet.
You would not, really. I mean, you're in your pajamas, you're in your own room, you can drink your water. The only thing I should say is please make sure that your mom doesn't come into your room. We have this happen all the time. The student is talking and the mom comes in with a fruit, the plate of fruit. And the student gets very nervous, they're thrown off. But we understand, sometimes we understand that small accidents happen. And in that case, we actually just let the students restart the exam entirely for free. And so we understand that we need to provide flexibility to students.
That is very, very interesting how we know that technology now can help us a lot, especially in tests as well. And just one more thing, like as Carrie also mentioned that herself and we, us, I believe, were the old generation that took tests like our.
What are you talking
about? But then, like myself, like I would want my my son, who is now also going to take an IELTS test.
How old is your son now?
17.
17, okay.
You want to emphasize that how
he should try the Duolingo English test.
but yeah, anyway, but what I'm trying to say is I, as parent, I would want him to also feel the pressure, you know.
Okay.
So he could do the test kind of right and know the accurate score. But as you mentioned and explain how Duolingo is actually has the layers of security and how it can give you the accurate score as well, even doing it online or in your pajamas.
That is very interesting. So one last question, Carrie. So we know that some students may not be well versed with Duolingo English Test or DET as a recognized certification of English proficiency for studying abroad. Could you share details about the international recognition that DET has garnered?
Yeah, definitely. And I think this relates to really the fact that IISMA sees a lot of students applying for the program using the Duolingo English test. And I think Hilda mentioned a little bit earlier that IISMA's host universities are among the most top ranked around the world. For example, Penn State, University of Chicago, including Yale. On this chart, you can also see that the Duolingo English test is accepted by some of the really the best universities all around the world in North America, in Europe, as well as in Asia. And these universities, and I'm sure everyone is seeing a lot of familiar names here. Of course, they have been accepting traditional ways of assessing your English for the past 40, 50 years. But really over the past couple of years, with the pandemic, universities are realizing the need to provide more options to students, in particular, flexible options. Many of these universities themselves have online learning experiences as well. So they're realizing that if you're only providing the option for students to go to a test location before they can apply, it limits the access to education for many students. And so for Duolingo as well, you can see here really most of the universities that a student may have heard of, the odds are that this university has heard of the Duolingo English test. They have evaluated the language assessment accuracy, the security of the Duolingo English test, and they found that this is an equivalent to a traditional exam. And you know, from our perspective, I think we're here to provide more options. Just with the language learning mobile app, some students may still want to go to a classroom to learn, and Duolingo is there to supplement that experience. Some students may want to take an exam at a physical location, but many, many more students, as we have seen, when given the option, really prefer to take an exam at home. And I forgot to mention, I think, in the beginning, the Duolingo English test is about 20 to 25% the price of traditional exams. And so traditional exams cost anywhere between $250 US to sometimes $300 US. And a lot of students may have to take the test a few times. So very quickly, before you even study abroad, the parents have to spend almost $1,000 US just to take English exams, not even counting the English lessons. The Duolingo English test is $59 US. And we set that price, again, to provide access. We want to have more students have the opportunity to try. And so our research is that the cost of a traditional exam is almost 70% of the average household income in a country like Indonesia. And we just don't think that's the right thing to do. And so we also price the test differently to make sure that we're really providing access.
Wow.
Yeah. So I believe that like a great collaboration between Duolingo and also IISMA as well, as the goal is to support higher educational system to like anyone that can have access to it. And for IISMA, yourself and how the Ministry of Education, Culture and Research and Technology of Indonesia to support the students in Indonesia to study abroad, to learn international language and to be more acknowledged and to be more educated in a higher level. And what are your hope for that?
What we hope is that there will be more opportunities for all over Indonesia, like in the rural places as well, to join IISMA next year. And then
so this year is closed already?
We haven't started yet. For the students recruitment for next year, it will be in January.
In January 2024?
Yeah. 24, like I think in the last week or January, January perhaps, yes. Until February for the student selection. At the moment, we are in the recruitment for host universities.
I see.
So host universities applied to IISMA. They are applying to IISMA. And then we will select them. Once we got the list, we put in our website and the students will choose.
Great.
Okay.
So for our viewers interested absolutely about IISMA and they want to find more information about it, can you share maybe website, social media, etc.?
In social media, we have Instagram, IISMA, and also
that's IISMA.
IISMA, and then also in our website, isma.kemdikbud.go.id. And then students will find information there, and then they can also email the secretariat, ismasecretariat.isma.id.
Right. Last question. Any tips for the viewers or students who wants to join IISMA?
Oh yes, of course. Like for all students, our potential candidates for IISMA, when you are aiming or the target for host universities, you can also check in our website some of the options. They all also have some requirements, English requirements and also academic requirements, even the courses. So they can learn and study there, even though like we can adapt it like for the host university list 2024, but still like students right now can also learn how it goes about the universities. We may update, but some of them like for the top universities like our partners like go 8 the best Australian universities, for example, they will know like the requirements and they can target for that, and they can also prepare for the English proficiency tests. They can focus on one, but again like students are quite strategic. When they can like they can go to the certain university, they can also prepare one EPT or more than one EPT. It really depends on the university they want to.
Okay, great. What a great program.
And take the English test on Duolingo.
You should tell your son to join IISMA as well.
Yes, soon. I think so. I will. It's been a pleasure for us talking to you, Hilda. Thank you very much for coming here, and also Carrie for joining us through Zoom. It's such an inspiration that we both would like to learn more now.
Absolutely. We both love Duolingo, and all the best for you on Duolingo as well.
Okay, and we will be back on Starting Point right after the break.